My name is Clara Whitmore Mercer. I am 34 years old. 3 weeks ago, my mother rang my doorbell for the first time in almost 10 years. She stood beneath the copper porch light in a cream wool coat, pearl earrings, and the same careful lipstick she had worn every Sunday of my childhood. In her left hand was a small rolling suitcase. In her right was a folded sheet of yellow legal paper. She did not bring flowers. She did not bring photographs. She did not bring an apology. She brought a list. 6 handwritten bullet points. Blue ink. A dollar amount beside every line. At the bottom, underlined twice, was the total. 87,000 yuan. My mother looked past me into the house I had built without her and said, "Clara, we need to have a serious conversation about what family owes each other." What she did not know was that I had been keeping a list too. Mine was not written during a train ride. It lived inside a black leather binder in the locked bottom drawer of my office desk. 34 items. Every returned envelope. Every ignored voicemail. Every photograph of my daughters that came back unopened. Every screenshot showing how my family spoke about me when they thought I would never see it. Each item had a number. Each number had a date. My mother brought a list of what she believed I owed. I brought a record of what she had chosen. And inside that binder was one final screenshot she did not know I had. It explained the suitcase. It explained the timing. And it proved that the conversation on my porch had never been about reconciliation. To understand how we reached that morning, you need to understand where I came from. Rosehaven, Pennsylvania. Population, just under 4,000. One Presbyterian church with a white steeple visible from almost every street. One pharmacy where the owner knew everyone's prescriptions and most of their secrets. One diner called Mary's where the coffee always tasted burned, and the same 5 men sat at the same corner table every morning discussing weather, taxes, and other people's children. My father, Peter Whitmore, owned Whitmore Hardware on Main Street. It was the kind of store that sold nails by the pound, sharpened lawnmower blades in the back room, and delivered snow shovels to elderly customers before storms. People loved my father. He remembered birthdays. He extended credit when families were struggling. He gave children peppermints from a glass jar beside the register. In public, he was kind. At home, he was quiet. Around my mother, he was careful. I did not understand the difference until I was old enough to build a home of my own. My mother, Marlene Whitmore, ran our family the way a general runs a campaign. She organized the church flower committee. She planned the Christmas pageant. She decided where everyone sat at Thanksgiving. She sent thank you notes within 24 hours and judged people who took longer. Rosehaven called her elegant. As a child, I believed elegant meant graceful. As an adult, I learned it could also mean controlled so tightly that no one could see the cruelty underneath. My younger sister, Bethany, was 3 years younger than me and everything my mother wanted a daughter to be. Blonde, charming, emotional, in ways that made people rush to protect her. Bethany could break a lamp, begin crying before my mother entered the room, and somehow I would end up sweeping glass from the carpet. My mother called her, our little light. My father called her, Bunny. I was Clara. Just Clara. The reliable one. The child who remembered appointments. The child who folded laundry without being asked. The child who made honor roll and was warned not to become arrogant. The child who learned to read the temperature of a room before she learned to drive. Love in our home was not given freely. It was allocated. Bethany's account never ran out. Mine was funded only when I behaved correctly. When I was 17, I was accepted to the University of Pennsylvania with a partial scholarship. My father cried in the hardware store after I told him. He turned away and pretended sawdust had gotten into his eye. My mother studied the acceptance letter and said, "Philadelphia is expensive. Are you certain you do not want to stay closer to home?" 6 months later, Bethany received a used car for her 16th birthday. I received 4 towels for my dorm room. That was how things worked. Bethany needed help because she was sensitive. Bethany needed encouragement because confidence was fragile. Bethany needed support because she did not handle pressure well. I handled pressure well. So, I was given more of it. I met Daniel Mercer during my junior year in a behavioral economics seminar. He sat near the back with 2 black pens lined up beside his notebook. He studied computer science and finance and had the calmest voice I had ever heard. Not a passive calm. A grounded one, the kind that made everyone else lower their volume without realizing it. Daniel was from North Carolina. His father had died when he was 12. His mother, Evelyn, had raised 3 sons while working night shifts as a hospital nurse. Daniel was black. I was white. In Philadelphia, we were 2 students arguing over economic theory and sharing bad coffee between classes. In Rosehaven, my mother would turn our relationship into a crisis. Our first date was at a tiny Vietnamese restaurant near campus. The tables were too close together. The waiter forgot our water twice, and I ordered spring rolls because I was too nervous to eat anything that required skill. We talked for almost 3 hours. Childhood, money, ambition, the strange way some parents confuse obedience with goodness. Daniel asked questions as if he wanted the real answers. That was new to me. When he met my parents, my mother smiled with the corners of her mouth but not her eyes. She called him David twice. His name was Daniel. At dinner, she asked whether he played basketball. Daniel was 5 feet 10 and had asthma. My father asked about his degree, listened to the answer, and then became very interested in cutting his roast beef into perfect squares. Bethany watched the whole meal, like someone watching clouds gather before a storm. After dessert, she followed me into the pantry. "He is nice," she whispered. "I know. No, I mean, he is really nice. I know." She glanced toward the dining room, where my mother was stacking plates with far more force than necessary. "Mom is never going to accept this." I laughed because I needed Bethany to be wrong. "She just needs time." Bethany looked at me with something close to pity. "You always think people become better if you give them enough time." 2 years later, Daniel proposed in our apartment on a rainy Friday night. There was spaghetti on the stove. No photographer. No restaurant. No violinist hiding behind a plant. He held a small velvet box in one hand and my fingers in the other. Then he said, "I do not want to rescue you from your family. I want to build a new one with you." End. That sentence reached places in me therapy had not yet touched. I said yes before he opened the box. The ring was a small oval sapphire on a thin gold band. It fit perfectly. I called home the next morning. My mother answered on the second ring. "Clara, it is early." "I know, I have news," I told her. The line went silent. Not surprised silence. Not emotional silence. Calculating silence. I watched the digital clock above our stove change numbers while I waited. After 9 seconds, she said, "Have you thought about what this will do to your father?" Not congratulations. Not are you happy. Not tell me how he proposed. "Have you thought about what this will do to your father?" A moment later, I heard the extension phone click. My father said my name softly. "Clara." That was all. 2 days later, Bethany sent me a text. "Mom has been crying since you called. I hope he is worth it." I stared at those words for a long time. Daniel was worth it. That was the problem. 3 weeks later, a 4-page letter arrived in our mailbox. Cream stationery. Blue ink. My mother's handwriting. She wrote about sacrifice, family values, cultural differences, and people from different worlds who might care for one another but could never truly belong together. She did not write the word race. She did not have to. People like my mother rarely name their prejudice directly. They wrap it in concern and wait for everyone else to compliment the packaging. The final paragraph said, "If you marry Daniel, you are choosing a life outside this family. Your father and I cannot bless this union, and we will not attend. If you walk into a life with him, do not expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Clara. He never will be." I read that paragraph 7 times. Then I folded the letter along its original creases and placed it inside a manila envelope. I did not know why I kept it. I only knew that exact words mattered in my family. Without proof, my mother could turn a threat into concern, rejection into misunderstanding, and cruelty into something I had supposedly imagined. Daniel and I married at City Hall in Philadelphia on a cold Saturday in February. 16 guests. Daniel's mother, Evelyn, flew from Raleigh, wearing a deep purple dress and carrying a coconut cake strapped into a plastic carrier with 2 bungee cords. Before the ceremony, she adjusted the pearl comb in my hair and studied my reflection. Then she said, "Baby. Not beautiful. Loved." I nearly cried. There was no long aisle. There was a narrow room with high ceilings and a judge who mispronounced my middle name. Daniel wore a charcoal suit. I wore a cream dress I had found in a consignment store for $95. My bouquet was made of grocery store tulips wrapped in ribbon Daniel had saved from a birthday gift. My father did not walk me anywhere. My mother did not sit in the front row. Bethany sent no message. Afterward, we ate at a family-owned Italian restaurant, where Daniel's best friend gave a speech about Daniel alphabetizing cereal boxes in college. Evelyn laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes with her napkin. That night, after everyone left, I sat on the edge of our bed wearing my wedding dress. Daniel knelt in front of me and removed my shoes. I said, "They really did not come." He held my feet in his hands. I know. I did not cry because I regretted marrying him. I cried because the happiest day of my life contained a missing row of chairs only I could see. 1 week later, I mailed my parents a wedding photograph. Daniel and I were standing on the city hall steps, laughing as the wind tried to steal my veil. Inside the card, I wrote, "We are happy. I hope one day you can be happy for us." 11 days later, the envelope came back. Return to sender was stamped in red across my name. I stood in the lobby of our apartment building, holding it while a neighbor carried groceries past me. She asked whether I was all right. I said yes because people say yes when the real answer is too large to explain beside a row of mailboxes. Upstairs, I opened the manila envelope containing my mother's letter. I placed the returned wedding photograph behind it. Then I wrote on the front in red pen, Item 2. Wedding photograph returned. March 3. That was the beginning. During the first year, I still believed effort could melt ice. I called my mother 4 times. Voicemail, every time. My messages were careful. I asked about the hardware store. I told them Daniel had started a new job. I mentioned that I was interviewing with a consulting firm. I never accused. I never demanded. I kept leaving doors open for people who had already told me they preferred walls. My mother never called back. I sent my father a birthday card. Returned. A Mother's Day card. Returned. A Christmas card with a photograph of Daniel and me beside a crooked little tree. Returned. My father sent one text that July. "Your mother needs time." 4 words. No punctuation. No follow-up. I saved the screenshot. At Easter, Bethany posted a photograph online. My parents stood beside her on the church steps. Everyone wore pastel colors. My mother's hand rested on Bethany's shoulder. The caption said, "Blessed to have my whole family together." I printed it, not because I enjoyed hurting myself, because something inside me had changed. I was no longer only grieving. I was documenting. By September, the manila envelope was too full. I bought a black leather binder from an office supply store. 3 metal rings. Zipper closure. Clear plastic sleeves. Numbered dividers. I labeled the first section Year 1. 7 items. I was not preparing a lawsuit. I was not plotting revenge. I was protecting myself from the day my mother would claim none of it had happened. Numbers were safer than memories. Dates did not change their story. Envelopes did not call you oversensitive. A red return to sender stamp could not say, "That is not what I meant." During our second year of marriage, Daniel left his job, not recklessly. He had spent 18 months building software at night on a folding table in our living room. It was a compliance platform designed for independent medical practices struggling with insurance audits, billing records, and regulatory paperwork. Most people found the idea boring. Evelyn understood immediately. She had watched nurses lose hours every week to systems that did not communicate with one another. Daniel understood the technology. I understood finance and operations. Evelyn understood what healthcare workers actually needed. We called the company MedLedger. Daniel designed the architecture. I built the pricing model, financial projections, and investor presentations. Evelyn reviewed early versions and crossed out entire sections. "Nurses do not speak like this," she said. "Try again." So we tried again. Our first office was our second bedroom. The printer sat on a laundry basket because there was no room for another table. We ate lentil soup 3 nights a week. I worked at a consulting firm during the day, reviewed MedLedger spreadsheets until midnight, then woke at 6 to do it again. Our first customers were 3 small clinics in Pennsylvania and 1 in Delaware. The software froze during the first demonstration. Daniel looked at the dead screen, took 1 breath, and smiled at the clinic administrator. "Well," he said, "now you know we are not hiding anything." She laughed. Then she signed. 18 months after our wedding, I became pregnant with twins. Amelia arrived first, screaming as though birth had personally offended her. Grace arrived 6 minutes later, quiet and blinking beneath the hospital lights, as if she were assessing the room. Daniel cried so hard a nurse handed him tissues before he asked. Evelyn flew in the next morning with 2 suitcases, a cooler filled with frozen meals, and 2 knitted blankets. Pink for Amelia. Soft green for Grace. She stayed for 3 weeks. She washed bottles. She rubbed my back when feeding the twins hurt so badly I gripped the chair. She forced Daniel to sleep when he tried to pretend he was fine. She held both babies against her chest and whispered, "Grandma is here. Your grandma is right here." That was what a grandmother sounded like. 4 months before the girls were born, I had mailed ultrasound photographs to Rosehaven. They came back unopened. After the birth, I sent 2 announcements. One addressed to my mother, one addressed directly to my father. Both were returned. I texted one photograph to Bethany because some foolish part of me believed becoming an aunt might soften her. 3 days later, she replied with one word. Cute. No, congratulations. No questions about their names. No concern for whether I was recovering. 2 weeks later, a cousin sent me a screenshot from a private family conversation. Bethany had written, "Clara wants sympathy now, but she made her choice. Those girls have Daniel's family. She cannot have it both ways." I read the message in the nursery. Amelia slept against my shoulder. Grace made small squeaking sounds in the bassinet. In the kitchen, Evelyn washed pump parts while humming an old gospel song. Those girls had Daniel's family. Bethany was right about that. They had Evelyn, and Evelyn had already shown them more love than my mother had shown me in years. I printed the screenshot. Item 14. That was the year I stopped saying, "When my mother comes around." I began saying, "if." Medledger grew slowly. 9 employees became 20. 4 clinics became dozens. Daniel still wrote code until 2 in the morning. I left consulting and joined the company full-time, overseeing finance and operations. We moved into a 3-bedroom house outside Philadelphia with a narrow backyard and a maple tree that turned bright red each October. Amelia and Grace learned to walk while holding opposite sides of the same coffee table. Evelyn visited every month and kept a toothbrush in the downstairs bathroom. My family's silence became part of the weather. Usually survivable. Occasionally sharp. I still mailed cards. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, the twins' birthdays. Returned. 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 One Christmas envelope came back with the flap torn and then resealed. I stared at it for nearly 20 minutes. Had my father opened it? Had he seen the photograph of the girls wearing red pajamas? Had my mother made him return it? I filed it. Item 19. Christmas card possibly opened, still returned. Daniel once asked whether keeping everything made the pain worse. "No," I said. "It keeps me from wondering whether I imagined it." He nodded. He never asked me to hurry my grief. That was one of the reasons I loved him. Bethany married during our 5th year. I found out from photographs online. The wedding took place in the Presbyterian church, where we had sung in the children's choir. Bethany wore lace sleeves and a cathedral-length veil. My father walked her down the aisle. My mother sat in the front row wearing champagne silk and crying openly. There were white roses on the pews and a string quartet at the reception. I had not been invited. No one had even warned me. 4 days later, I saw a former classmate's post. "Best wedding Rosehaven has seen in years." I enlarged a photograph of my parents dancing. My father's hand rested on my mother's waist. Her head leaned against his chest. They looked peaceful. They looked whole. They looked like people who had not lost a daughter. For reasons I still do not fully understand, I sent Bethany a gift from her registry. A crystal serving bowl. The card said, "Congratulations, I hope you and Mark build a beautiful life. Love, Clara." The box came back unopened 3 weeks later. Item 22. I sat on the floor of my office beside it until Amelia wandered in wearing Daniel's shoes. "Mama," she announced, "I am Daddy." Grace followed with a wooden spoon raised like a royal scepter. My real life had come looking for me. By our 6th year, Medledger employed more than 100 people. We raised $15 million from a healthcare technology fund. The company was valued at $82 million. A business journal published a profile of Daniel under the headline, "The Quiet Founder Fixing Medical Compliance." My name appeared farther down. His wife and co-founder Clara Mercer oversees finance and operations. That sentence mattered more to me than the headline. I had built the company too. I had built it while pumping milk between meetings. While paying employees before paying ourselves. While numbering returned envelopes. While learning that a woman can grieve one family and build another at the same time. 2 weeks after the article appeared, my high school friend Natalie texted me. "Random question. Your mother asked me at church what a Series B is. Thought you might want to know." My mother had never asked what colors her granddaughters liked. She had never asked whether they were healthy. But she wanted to understand our funding round. I printed the text. Item 25. The following year, we bought a larger house in Bryn Mawr. 4 bedrooms. Blue shutters. A wide front porch. A kitchen big enough for the girls to do homework while Daniel cooked and I reviewed investor reports. The first time Evelyn saw the guest room, she cried. "You gave me my own room?" Daniel hugged her. "Mama, you already had a room. We finally put walls around it." That same month, Bethany viewed my professional profile 3 times. Someone from Rosehaven repeatedly checked MedLedger's company page. Then Natalie called. "Your mother is telling people she always knew Daniel was brilliant." I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because screaming would have frightened the girls. "She said that?" Her exact words were, "Daniel was always an exceptionally determined young man." Daniel. The man she had called David. The man she had warned would never belong. The man whose wedding photograph she returned. Now that his company's valuation was public, my mother had discovered adjectives. The first group chat screenshots arrived during our 8th year of marriage. Natalie called at 8:12 on a Thursday evening. Her voice was low. Bethany accidentally added me to a family chat. I think she meant to add her neighbor, who is also named Natalie. "I stayed because they began talking about you." 11 screenshots appeared on my phone. I read them in my car outside the twins' gymnastics class. Bethany had written, "MedLedger is worth at least $80 million. If they sell or go public, Clara will be set for life." My mother replied, "We do not know what she controls." Bethany, "She runs finance. She knows where everything is." My father wrote, "This feels wrong." My mother answered, "What feels wrong is Clara forgetting where she came from." Then Bethany began listing expenses. My parents' retirement, her mortgage, her son Thomas's school, medical costs, repairs to Whitmore Hardware. She called it a family reset. My mother wrote, "A complete list will show that we are being practical, not emotional." Bethany replied, "Make it specific. Clara trusts numbers." I watched mothers carrying glitter-covered backpacks through the parking lot while my family calculated the price of remembering me. Inside the building, my daughters were learning cartwheels. Outside, my relatives were preparing an invoice. The 11th screenshot was different. I read it twice. Then a third time. I did not tell Natalie what it meant. I printed it when I got home. I placed it behind a new divider and labeled it Item 34. Daniel read every screenshot that night. When he finished, he did not tell me what to do. He asked, "What do you want?" That was Daniel. Not, "I will handle it." Not, "Forget them." Not, "Let me call your father." "What do you want?" "I want to be ready." The next morning, I contacted an attorney named Grace Mallory. She specialized in trusts, estates, and family asset protection. Grace reviewed our ownership documents, wills, guardianship plans, security procedures, and the circumstances involving my parents. She was careful not to promise that family disputes were simple. But under our circumstances, my parents had no automatic right to our money, our home, or access to our children. Any access would come through our consent. Any financial support would be our choice. Grace read part of the family chat and said, "This is not a legal claim. It is an emotional ambush, hoping you will mistake pressure for obligation." Emotional ambush. I wrote the phrase down. During our 9th year of marriage, MedLedger filed confidentially to become a public company. For months, our lives were consumed by auditors, bankers, lawyers, revised projections, risk disclosures, roadshow presentations, late dinners, and missed sleep. Daniel handled technology and long-term vision. I handled the financials. My signature appeared on documents my 18-year-old self would not have understood but would have been proud to see. By then, Amelia and Grace were 7, approaching their 8th birthday. Amelia loved injured animals and changed her future career every week. Veterinarian, marine biologist, bakery owner. Grace loved maps and corrected adults who confused Sweden with Switzerland. They knew Evelyn as Grandma Evie. They did not know Marlene. When they were 6, Grace asked whether I had a mother. "Yes," I said. "Where is she?" "Far away." Amelia looked up from her coloring book. "Does she know us?" I told the truth as gently as I could. "No, sweetheart, she does not." That night, after everyone went to bed, I unlocked my desk drawer and held the black binder in my lap. I did not open it. I only felt its weight. 2 months before the public offering, Bethany contacted me for the first time in almost a decade. "Hey Clara, I have been thinking about you. How are the girls?" 8 words. Almost 10 years. "How are the girls?" As if she had been asking all along. 3 days later, another message arrived. "I may be in Philadelphia next week. Life is too short. I would love to catch up." People who waste years love saying life is short when they want access to what those years produced. I agreed to meet her at a public cafe near Rittenhouse Square. I did not give her my home address. Bethany arrived 20 minutes late in a camel-colored coat and sunglasses too large for her face. She hugged me before I fully stood. "You look incredible." "So do you." During the next 45 minutes, she asked question after question. Where did we live? Were the girls in private school? How many employees did MedLedger have? Was Daniel still chief executive? Did I control the finances? Did we travel privately? Did we have security? How much had our house appreciated? She did not ask what Amelia liked to read. She did not ask whether Grace still had the dimple visible in the infant photograph I once sent. She did not apologize. Halfway through the meeting, I noticed her phone angled toward the cafe window. My car was parked across the street. She was taking a photograph, cataloging, reporting. I allowed her to do it. There is power in letting someone reveal herself when she believes she is being clever. When we hugged goodbye, Bethany whispered, "I have missed you." I wondered which version of me she meant. The broke sister she dismissed? The married sister she abandoned? Or the co-founder whose company was about to go public? I went home and added item 32. Bethany reconnaissance meeting. Numerous financial questions. No apology. Photographed vehicle. MedLedger went public the following April, a few weeks before the twins turned 8. Daniel and I stood at NASDAQ in New York, surrounded by employees, investors, cameras, and enormous screens displaying our company's name. Analode. At 9:30, the bell rang. By noon, the stock had risen 22%. By the closing bell, Daniel and I were worth approximately $52 million on paper. I stared at the number on a conference room screen and felt nothing at first. Not excitement. Not fear. Suspicion. As though someone had entered the wrong formula into a spreadsheet. Daniel squeezed my hand beneath the table. "We did it." I looked at the man my mother said would never belong. The man who built software on a folding table. The man who warmed bottles at 3 in the morning. The man who sat beside me through every returned envelope without once asking why I could not simply move on. "We did," I said. That night, we ordered pizza to the hotel because the girls wanted pepperoni, and Evelyn said expensive food after emotional days gave her heartburn. Amelia fell asleep with her head on Daniel's lap. Grace fell asleep holding her NASDAQ visitor badge. Before going to her room, Evelyn kissed my forehead. "I always knew, baby." She had. Before the money, that was the difference. My father called the next morning. I let the call go to voicemail. His voice sounded older. "Clara, it is Dad. I saw you and Daniel on the news. I wanted to say I am proud of you. I have always been proud of you." He paused. "Your mother wants to talk. She has some ideas about how the family can move forward. Call when you are ready." I played the voicemail twice. "I have always been proud of you." Perhaps he had. But pride that remains silent while cruelty speaks is not protection. It is decoration. 2 days later, my mother texted. "Clara, I know there has been distance between us. Life has a way of teaching people what truly matters. I would like to visit and discuss the future, particularly the girls. Families should not remain divided forever. There are responsibilities and decisions we should address together." No apology. No mention of Daniel. No acknowledgement of the letter she had written. Just distance. As if distance were weather. As if she had not built it herself, one returned envelope at a time. Natalie called 5 days later. "Your mother bought a train ticket." "For when?" "Tuesday." She told Linda at the pharmacy she is going to Philadelphia to reconnect with her daughter and discuss family responsibilities. Family responsibilities. Across the kitchen, Evelyn was braiding Grace's hair, while Amelia tried to persuade Daniel that brownies qualified as breakfast if they contained walnuts. That was family. Messy hair. Lunchboxes. Coffee. Someone showing up before there was anything to gain. "What are you going to do?" Natalie asked. "I am going to let her come." "You are?" "Yes." "Why?" I looked toward my office. "Because I want to hear what she says when she believes I do not know the plan." Before the visit, I spoke to Grace Mallory again. Daniel and I agreed that the girls would be at school. The front door camera would remain on. Daniel would take a board call from an office less than 10 minutes away. If I sent him one word now, he would come home. I was not waiting to be rescued. I was making sure my mother could not later rewrite what happened. She arrived at 10:06 on Tuesday morning. A rideshare stopped in front of our house. My mother stepped onto the sidewalk wearing her cream coat and pulling the small suitcase behind her. She paused at the end of the walkway. Her eyes moved across the porch, windows, landscaping, and copper lanterns Daniel had installed himself. She was not admiring the house. She was assessing it. The bell rang. I opened the door. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. Fine lines surrounded her mouth. But her green eyes remained clear and controlled. Clara. Mom? Her gaze moved over my shoulder into the foyer. I came to discuss the girl's future. Not I missed you. Not may I see a photograph. Not I am sorry. The girl's future. The children whose birth announcements she had returned. I looked at the suitcase. How long were you planning to stay? A flicker crossed her face. I thought we might need a few days. You did not ask. I assumed there would be room. Of course she had. She had rejected my life for almost 10 years and arrived expecting a guest room inside it. The girls are at school, I said. Her fingers tightened around the suitcase handle. Then she smiled. The public smile. We will see. I stepped aside. I did not take her luggage. I led her into the kitchen rather than the formal sitting room. The kitchen was where our real life happened. Grace's map of Europe was attached to the refrigerator. Amelia's drawing of a sea turtle hung beside it. A photograph of Evelyn with the girls at the beach sat beneath a strawberry-shaped magnet. My mother noticed the photograph. Is that Daniel's mother? Yes. She sees the girls often? She is their grandmother. The words landed exactly where I intended. I poured 2 glasses of water. My mother placed the folded legal paper on the table. You have a beautiful home. Thank you. You have done exceptionally well. Daniel and I have. A pause. Yes, of course. There it was. The correction she disliked. Daniel and I. Not Clara Whitmore returning victorious to finance the people who rejected her. Daniel and I. My mother unfolded the yellow paper. The handwriting was unchanged. Elegant. Precise. Blue ink. Your father and I are not young anymore, she began. The hardware store has struggled since a chain opened outside town. Medical costs are rising. Bethany and Mark have fallen behind on their mortgage, and Thomas's education is becoming expensive. Thomas was Bethany's son, a nephew I had never met because his mother returned my wedding gift and ignored the births of my daughters. My mother pushed the paper toward me. I wrote everything down because you have always appreciated clarity. I read the list. Retirement support for Peter and Marlene, $400,000. Mortgage payoff for Bethany and Mark, $160,000. Education fund for Thomas, $150,000. Medical reserve for Peter, $75,000. Repair fund for Whitmore Hardware, $60,000. 10 months of family support at $2,500 per month, $25,000. Total. The arithmetic was correct. That almost made it worse. This is what you came for. Her expression tightened. I came because this family should be whole. Whole? You have more than enough, Clara. I heard Bethany's words from the group chat. Clara trusts numbers. My mother continued. We are not asking for luxuries. We are asking for stability. Your father worked his entire life. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. It is time for you to remember where you came from. 10 years earlier, that sentence might have broken me open. Now, it produced a strange stillness. The storm had finally reached the house. And I had learned that the roof was stronger than it used to be. I folded the yellow paper along its crease and placed it between us. Before we discuss what I remember, I want to ask you something. All right. Why did you bring a suitcase? I told you. I expected this conversation might take time. Did you book a hotel? She looked offended. Clara, I am your mother. That was not my question. Her eyes hardened. No, I did not book a hotel. I nodded. Then I stood. Wait here. I walked into my office. Unlocked the bottom drawer. Moved 2 tax folders. Removed the black leather binder. When I returned, my mother was studying the photograph of Evelyn and the girls. I placed the binder beside her yellow list. The sound against the table was solid. Final. My mother looked down. What is that? You brought a record of what you believe I owe. This is my record of what happened. She gave a small, embarrassed laugh. The laugh she used at church when someone behaved improperly. Clara, this is unnecessary. No, this conversation is impossible without it. I opened the binder. The first page was her 4-page letter. Cream stationery. Blue ink. Protected, inside a clear sleeve. Her eyes moved across the page. Recognition appeared before she could hide it. I was upset, she said. I read the final paragraph aloud. If you marry Daniel, you are choosing a life outside this family. Your father and I cannot bless this union, and we will not attend. If you walk into a life with him, do not expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Clara. He never will be. The refrigerator hummed behind me. You wrote that. I did not mean it the way you interpreted it. I interpreted the words you chose. She looked away. I turned the page. Wedding photograph, returned March 3. I placed the envelope on the table. Father's birthday card, returned July 9. Another envelope. Christmas photograph, returned December 22. Another. The envelopes formed a row between us. Doors I had knocked on. Doors she had closed. You must understand the pressure we were under, she said. I moved to the section marked Year 2. Ultrasound photographs. Returned, unopened. Next page. Birth announcement for Amelia and Grace. Next. Second announcement addressed directly to Dad, returned. My mother pressed her fingers around the water glass. Your father did not make every decision. But he accepted them. He was trying to keep the peace. Peace for whom? She did not answer. I turned to item 14. Bethany's message, after the girls were born. I read it. Clara wants sympathy now. But she made her choice. Those girls have Daniel's family. She cannot have it both ways. My mother's eyes became wet. Bethany was hurt too. By what? She lost her sister. No, she helped remove one. A tear moved down my mother's cheek. It was the kind of tear I remembered from childhood. Controlled. Visible. Arriving just before accountability. You have no idea how painful that period was for me, she said. There it was. My pain redirected into her suffering. I turned several more pages. Item 19. Christmas card to the girls. Envelope opened and resealed before being returned. I held it up. Did Dad see this card? Silence. Did he see their faces? Her jaw moved. He missed you. Then why did he not call? He was afraid of making things worse. For you? She looked at me. For 1 second, I saw the truth. She knew exactly who had required everyone else's silence. I turned to the section containing the family chat. My mother's face changed. Not because she had seen the screenshots yet. Because she recognized the date written on the divider. Where did you get those? A person was added to the conversation by mistake. You had no right to read private family messages. You were privately planning how to extract money from me. That is an outrageous description. I read one message. My mother's own words. What feels wrong is Clara forgetting where she came from. Then Bethany's. Make the list specific. Clara trusts numbers. My mother's tears disappeared. Anger took their place. You have spent years building a case against us. No, you spent years creating one. I came here to repair this family. No, you came here after MedLedger went public. That is cruel. Cruel was returning photographs of newborn babies because you disapproved of their father. You left us. You told me not to return. You chose him. I chose my husband. You chose prejudice. The word landed without decoration. Prejudice. Not concern. Not tradition. Not family values. The thing itself. My mother's lips parted. I was protecting you. From what? She said nothing. From a man who loved me? From a mother-in-law who flew across the country with frozen meals? From a marriage that survived debt, newborn twins, a startup, and nearly 10 years of your silence. I placed my hand on the binder. What exactly did you protect me from? Her eyes dropped to the yellow list. I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered why she had come. My binder contains 34 items, I said. You have only seen 33. She became still. I reached for my phone beneath the table and sent Daniel one word. Now. Then I opened the final section. Item 34. The screenshot I had not described to anyone outside my home. The message had been written 6 weeks before the public offering. Bethany, when you visit, start with the girls. Clara will soften if she thinks this is about them. My mother, I will not apologize before we know what she is willing to do. An apology gives her control of the conversation. Bethany, take the overnight suitcase. Once you are inside the house, she will not make her own mother stay in a hotel. My mother. Good. After I am settled, I will show her the numbers. For the first time that morning, my mother looked frightened. Not sad. Caught. I turned the screenshot toward her. That is why you brought the suitcase. She stared at her own words. Bethany was making suggestions. That does not mean. You agreed. I was nervous. You planned to use my daughters to lower my guard. No. You planned not to apologize because you believed an apology would give me control. That is not what I meant. And you brought luggage because you believed once you entered my home, I would be too ashamed to send you to a hotel. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. The door from the hallway opened. Daniel entered the kitchen wearing a navy suit, his board call headset still around his neck. He looked at my mother. Then at the yellow list. Then at me. He did not raise his voice. He did not ask what she had done. He walked to my side, pulled out the chair beside mine, and sat down. That was Daniel. No performance. No need to prove he belonged. He simply sat beside his wife. My mother studied him. The man she had said would never be part of us. The man whose company had finally made me financially useful to her. Daniel rested his hand over mine. In that moment, my mother was forced to see what she had refused to understand 10 years earlier. I had not lost my family when I married Daniel. I had found it. I looked at the yellow page. I am not giving you the money. My mother closed her eyes. Clara, I am not paying Bethany's mortgage. I am not funding Thomas's school while my daughters do not know his face. I am not repairing a hardware store whose owner allowed photographs of his granddaughters to be returned. I am not paying 10 months of support to people who spent almost 10 years pretending I did not exist. We raised you. You raised me until I made a choice you could not control. We are still your family. Blood explains how we are related. It does not excuse what you did. My voice remained steady. If Dad wants to speak to me, he can call. Directly. Not about money. Not through you. Not as part of a strategy. He can tell the truth about what he allowed. My mother's gaze moved between Daniel and me. And me? With you, it begins with an honest apology. I can apologize. Not today. She recoiled. You said it begins with an apology. It does. But not while your suitcase is beside the door, and your financial list is on my table. Right now, any apology would be another negotiation. Her face tightened. What do you expect me to do? Go home. Decide whether you miss your daughter or access to your daughter's life. They are not the same thing. And if I write to you, I may read it. May? An apology is not a master key. It does not reopen every door at once. It opens the first lock. Maybe. She looked down at the yellow page. For a moment, I thought she might tear it in half. I thought she might finally see the obscenity of placing a price beside the word family. Instead, she folded the paper carefully along the original crease. Then she stood. You have become very hard. I looked at the woman who had taught me that love disappeared when I stopped obeying. No, Mom. I became clear. She pulled the suitcase toward the hallway. At the door, she turned. Your father really does miss you. Then he knows my number. The door closed behind her. It did not slam. It clicked. A small sound for the ending of something that had taken almost 10 years to die. For several seconds, Daniel and I remained at the kitchen table. The envelopes lay between us. The letter. The screenshots. The yellow list. Daniel squeezed my hand. I am proud of you. I looked at the binder. For the first time, it did not feel like a container for grief. It felt like evidence that I had survived a version of love designed to make me doubt myself. 2 weeks passed. My mother did not call. Bethany sent one message. You could have helped everyone. Instead, you chose drama. I deleted it. Some people call boundaries drama because manipulation is the only kind of peace they understand. My father called on a Thursday evening at 6:40. I almost let it go to voicemail. Daniel was making pasta. Amelia was feeding lettuce to the guinea pig. Grace lay on the kitchen floor labeling countries on a blank map. I stepped onto the porch and answered. Hi, Dad. He inhaled sharply. Clara. His voice broke around my name. Then he said, I am sorry. No speech about family unity. No message from my mother. No request for help. Just 3 words. I should have called after your wedding, he continued. I should have come when the girls were born. I should have stopped the envelopes from being returned. I told myself I was keeping peace, but I was protecting myself. I allowed your mother to do the cruel thing so I would not have to face her anger. I sat on the porch step. Inside the house, my daughters laughed. I failed you, he said. I should have been your father. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then I said, I believe you are sorry. He began to cry, quietly, like a man ashamed to make sound. I do not want money, he said. I do not want the store repaired. I only want to know whether there is any way to earn a small place in your life. I looked through the window. Daniel drained pasta at the stove. Amelia held up a piece of lettuce shaped like a heart. Grace taped her map beside the photograph of Evelyn and the girls. My life was full. That was why I could answer from strength instead of hunger. We begin with phone calls, I said. Every other Sunday. You and me. No mom. No Bethany. No money. You do not meet the girls yet. I understand. If you lie to protect her, the calls stop. I understand that too. Our first call lasted 11 minutes. The second lasted 23. During the fifth, he asked what the girls liked. I told him Amelia loved injured animals. Grace loved maps. The next week, 2 books arrived. One about wildlife rescue. One children's atlas. There was no letter addressed to the girls. No demand that they call him Grandpa. Only a card addressed to me. For whenever you believe they are ready. Dad. I did not place the card inside the black binder. I started a new folder. Yellow. Soft cover. No label. The black binder stayed in my office drawer. I stopped adding to it. 3 months after the visit, my mother wrote. Cream stationery. Blue ink. 2 pages. I almost returned it unopened. Instead, Daniel sat beside me while I read. The letter was not perfect. It contained cautious language and old habits. But halfway down the second page, she wrote, I was wrong about Daniel. I was wrong to make my pride more important than my daughter. I used silence as punishment, and I allowed that punishment to reach 2 children who had done nothing. I did not come to your home with honest intentions. I came believing your success had created an obligation. I am ashamed of that. I read the paragraph 3 times. There was no request for money. No demand to meet the girls. No sentence beginning with but. I folded the letter. Then I placed it inside the yellow folder. Not the black binder. The yellow folder. Some endings do not arrive like fireworks. Sometimes, change looks like a door unlocked from the inside but not yet opened. That is where we are now. My father has spoken to the girls twice by video. They call him Mr. Peter. Grandpa is not a title I am giving away quickly. He accepts that. Every time they say Mr. Peter, he smiles as though they have handed him something precious. My mother has not met them. Perhaps she will one day. Perhaps she will not. But if that day comes, it will not be because she traveled with a suitcase and a financial plan. It will be because she arrives with empty hands and the truth. Evelyn still visits every month. She still has her own room. Last Sunday, she stood in our kitchen teaching Amelia how to make biscuits, while Grace asked whether North Carolina was larger than Switzerland. Daniel was outside repairing the porch railing. My father called at 7. My mother did not. And I was all right. More than all right. I was whole. Here is what almost 10 years, 34 pieces of evidence, 1 black binder, and 1 yellow list taught me. Family is not someone who shares your blood and waits until your bank account becomes useful. Family is not someone who says life is short after wasting years of yours. Family does not turn your children into a strategy and call it reconciliation. Family is the person who shows up when there is nothing to gain. The mother-in-law who flies in with frozen meals. The husband who sits beside you without needing to speak. The daughters who fill your refrigerator with maps and sea turtles. The father who finally tells the truth and accepts that forgiveness, if it comes, will come slowly. And sometimes, family begins with the person you become when you stop begging to be chosen. You are not cruel for protecting the life you built after someone abandoned you. You are not selfish for refusing to finance people who only remembered you when the numbers changed. You are not hard because you kept the evidence. Sometimes keeping receipts is how a person remembers she is not imagining the harm. Sometimes a binder is not revenge. Sometimes it is a mirror. And when the people who hurt you are finally forced to look into it, what they see is not your bitterness. It is their own choices. If someone has ever returned to your life only after you became useful, tell me the moment you recognized it in the comments. And for more stories about quiet strength, hidden betrayal, and justice that arrives without shouting, subscribe to Calm Deception Stories. I will see you in the next story.